Hello and welcome to ThePrint. The campaigning for Haryana Assembly elections has come to an end. The Congress is trying to unseat the BJP, which is hoping for a comeback. We have with us a special guest, Yogendra Yadav, a political activist, commentator, and national convener of Bharat Jodo Abhiyan. Welcome to ThePrint, Yogendra ji.
Thank you. Delighted to be here. Yeah.
Yes. So we'll begin with your assessment, reading of Haryana Assembly elections.
Neelam, to my mind, this is one of those elections, and at least 50% elections in India belong to that category, which are decided even before the Election Commission calls them. In this instance, it has been quite clear, at least for the last 1.5 to 2 years, that BJP government does not enjoy confidence of the people. And in a sense, the seeds of disaffection were sown back in 2019 when BJP came to power for the second time. If you recall, BJP did phenomenally well in the 2019 Lok Sabha election, leading in 79 out of 90 constituencies in Haryana, winning all the 10 Lok Sabha seats. But when assembly elections came, BJP was down to 40. BJP did not have a popular mandate. But thanks to a sudden turnaround by JJP, Dushyant Chautala, BJP could form the government. Now, so in a sense, right at the inauguration of the government, you have the seeds of anti-incumbency against this government. That is, and then came the farmers' movement, which further eroded the legitimacy of the government because Haryana government left no stone unturned to do whatever it possibly could do against the farmers' movement, which turned out to be such a popular movement. So in the end, the loser was not the farmer movement, but the government. And in Haryana, people saw wrestlers' protest, in a sense, as a continuity of the farmers' movement. That all these things put together completely eroded the legitimacy of the government. So in the political circles, even a year and a half ago, everyone would say, "Bhai, BJP to gayi." And in a sense, the BJP itself acknowledged it by removing Mr. Khattar. If you remove a chief minister 9.5 years after governance and 6 months or so before the assembly election, you are in a sense acknowledging that we don't have very good report to give. So in that sense, I'm not surprised. To my mind, the election right from the beginning was loaded in favor of the Congress. The only question was whether it's a hawa for Congress, or it is a strong wave for the Congress, or is it a tsunami for Congress? That's the only thing to be decided. We, as analysts, tend to focus too much on the candidate and last-minute strategy because, these are things we love to observe. These are things which are happening in front of our eyes. And it helps to generate certain amount of excitement in the election. I never thought this election at any stage went beyond the grips of the Congress party.
And how do you see, this result in the context of the Lok Sabha elections as to what happened in Haryana?
Lok Sabha, BJP won 5 seats, Congress won 5 seats. In terms of vote share, they were equal, 47 to Congress and 47 to Congress, including Aam Aadmi Party, and 46 to BJP. Now, that would look like an even match, but that was not the case because Lok Sabha context, prime ministerial presence of Mr. Narendra Modi, the overall context of a national election where BJP was seen and presented as a front runner, the context of Ram Mandir and so on and so forth had created a context where BJP could do better. And in Haryana's history, the standard thing is BJP does much worse in Vidhan Sabha elections. This is not just Haryana. In Uttar Pradesh, Congress does always slightly better in the Lok Sabha elections, slightly worse in the assembly elections. So this is one of those situations. So since the Lok Sabha, I see 2 or 3 movements. Number one, there is, in the 2 areas where BJP did well, namely South Haryana, which is where I'm sitting right now, and the GT Road. In both these areas where BJP could save something of its face, in both these areas, there has been a movement away from BJP, while in the central area, which is dominated by the Jats, BJP hasn't lost more than it had earlier, but it's sort of more or less where it was. So since the Lok Sabha, BJP is the net gainer net loser. Congress is not a huge gainer, but my sense is that the margin, which was only 1 percentage point in Lok Sabha in favor of the Congress, is at least 6 to 7%, maybe 10 percentage point. If the margin is 5 to 6%, we would see a clear, comfortable majority for Congress. If it is about 10%, we would see a tsunami. That's where you are.
But are you predicting any numbers?
No, Neelam, really, I have no business. I mean, I did get into all this during the Lok Sabha election, and there was a very specific political reason, which I never hid from people. I said, look, I have no interest. I don't want to be a psephologist. I don't want to enter this race for the best prediction of the year kind of award, which was thrust upon me. My only interest was that because I felt the entire media, knowingly or unknowingly, was misleading the country and influencing the outcome. That's why I had to go back to my old role, very reluctantly. As you would have noticed, my social media handle से पहले भविष्य बताने का काम करता था, अब भविष्य बनाने का काम करता हूँ. That's the only thing that interests me. I have no interest in doing professional psephology. And what I'm saying to you is not the result of any deep psephology. This is something which everyone on the street knows. But when we come to television, we want to put so many qualifications that we don't end up saying something which everyone on the street knows. And that's what I'm saying.
So you're saying this is the sentiment on the ground?
Yes, the basic picture is Congress is comfortably ahead. Congress is going to form the government. We don't know by what kind of margin. That is best left to professional psephologists. That's a serious business, and I'm sure they'll do a much better job this time.
Well, you have mentioned this, in one of your answers, but I'll still want to ask this, that would you call these results, whatever the results are, a mandate against the BJP, or is it, a vote for the Congress? Also, is it a vote against Modi or the state government?
Mr. Modi is no longer the central issue in Haryana. And that's important. None of the BJP campaign posters carries Mr. Modi's name prominently. If you looked at the Lok Sabha election, BJP's hoarding, it was one big saffron hoarding with one huge image of Mr. Modi and a tiny little mention of a party that happens to be BJP. But it was Mr. Modi all over. This time, Mr. Modi is almost absent from all the posters. So as, Shekhar Gupta asked me yesterday, he said, so is it Modi Bachao campaign? I said, well, that's what it looks like to me. BJP knows very much what they are facing. So the idea would be to somehow ensure that Mr. Modi doesn't get the blame. So that's the game BJP is playing. So, and clearly Mr. Modi is not a factor at all. So to that extent, if the idea was that Mr. Modi can make his party win elections anywhere, although that was never quite the case, but that myth is broken once again for the nth time. As for whether it is for Congress or against BJP, hard to say. But certainly, people were waiting to throw the BJP government out. I'm saying were, as if we have the result. We don't have it. But to my mind, what I read, I just speak frankly about it. People have been waiting to throw the BJP out. And they definitely find Congress to be much better answer. Congress has pledged all the kind of things that people wanted to hear. MSP legal guarantee, 2,000 rupees to women every month, free bijli, and end to Agniveer scheme as in when Congress gets power at the center, and other things that people wanted to hear. So all that is going well. And Congress has kind of managed to ensure that its internal dissension is kept within certain bounds. So all this goes to the advantage of Congress. But I think the bottom line is people were waiting to throw the BJP out.
Well, you must have noticed, the BJP's politics, it's sort of focused on mobilization of non-Jati Haryana, just as it was non-tribal in Jharkhand at one point. What do you think about such strategy?
That's, I'm glad you mentioned it because that's one aspect of BJP's politics. Somehow the national media doesn't notice and talk about. We only talk about BJP's anti-Muslim agenda, which is of course true, which is everywhere. BJP leaves no stone unturned to discover some Hindu-Muslim conflict or rift. Today, yesterday, 100 years ago, 500 years ago, that's BJP's sort of main politics. But what we do not notice sufficiently is that BJP is into creating caste-based rift and hatred almost everywhere. In Haryana, the name for that is 35 ek, 35 versus 1. Now, there are 36 mythical communities in Haryana. Haryana, 36 Baradri ka Pradesh, that's everyone would tell you. And the idea was that you pit one, namely the Jat, against the remaining 35. So BJP had an electoral strategy of mobilizing more from the remaining 35 communities, which is a legitimate strategy. But what BJP did was to convert this into a hatred campaign against the Jats. 35 ek was the name of the category. Interestingly, BJP does something similar against Yadavs in Uttar Pradesh, against Yadavs in Bihar. So BJP's capacity, BJP's proclivity to create caste-based rift, while claiming to be a nationalist party, party of national unity, and so on and so forth. You see one more expression of that. To my mind, although BJP strategists would whisper in your ears even today that, finally 35 ek will carry us through. My sense is that it's not working. I've just addressed the last rally of Rahul Gandhi in Mahendragarh area. This is a Yadav-dominated area, and if there was one place where 35 ek should work, this is the area where it used to work, where BJP would expect it to work. But looking at people's responses, reactions, looking at the way things are happening, I think even in this area, 35 ek, that is to say the attempt at creating anti-Jat consolidation is not working. And thank God it's not. I mean, finally, these things fail to yield results.
You have talked about the farmers' agitation. We have Vinesh Phogat. She has contested. She will be contesting the elections. What are the issues you think will swing the results? She is contesting the election. The voting will take place on Saturday. So, what are the issues you think that may swing the results?
In Haryana, they would say Kisan Jawan Pehlwan. Again, this is a very Haryanvi formulation. Kisan because of the farmers' agitation. Also, Kisan because of the demand for minimum support price, assured minimum support price, which the BJP is unwilling to do and which the Congress is willing to give a legal guarantee for. Kisan also because the fertilizers and pesticides availability is a very, very serious issue. And Kisan because availability of water, at least in South Haryana, is a very major issue. As for Jawan, the two big issues are unemployment, which is rampant in Haryana. No matter what picture they pick and no matter what kind of data they dole out, you go to any mohalla and any village and everyone talks of Berozgari. Berozgari is rampant. And on top of it, Agniveer happens to have made things much worse for the youth because Haryana, while it's only 2% of the country's population, contributes about 10% of armed forces, used to contribute, which has now been converted. So this was one job that could, in a sense, assure your family's future for a couple of generations. And that being taken away has hurt people very, very hard. And as for Pahalwan, it is about the agitation of the wrestlers, which was a agitation first of all on sexual harassment charges that were very, very serious and things that would hurt an ordinary person so very deeply. Here are these women, they don't seem to be lying, they don't seem to be playing games. And here is a government which simply refuses to listen to that kind of thing. So it helped to erode the legitimacy, moral authority of the government completely. These are all issues. There are other issues as well. You have the issue of there's the identification issue in Haryana. Apart from Aadhaar, the government has come up with something called family ID.
Yes.
So you have to, in a sense, get electronic registration of your entire family. All your Aadhaar cards need to be linked. All your phone numbers need to be linked. Your property, your income, your caste, everything needs to be linked. Now, that could be a nice bureaucratic exercise, maybe useful in the long run. But what the Haryana government did in some wisdom was to make it mandatory for pension, mandatory for fellowships, mandatory to get to sell your agriculture produce. And this has created mayhem because most people cannot get these online things sorted. The idea that every villager walks with a Wi-Fi and an internet connected things, and where they can enter and type in English and or whatever and get their things done. I mean, which kind of world do these bureaucrats live in? People were annoyed. They still are annoyed. So all these things have come together. And initially, in the first term, BJP acquired some reputation for giving the jobs in a way, in a meritorious way. That is what people used to give credit to Mr. Manohar Lal Khattar about. Second regime didn't see much of that. Instead, the second regime was marked by very heightened levels of corruption. So the second regime was known for corruption, for arrogance, for insensitivity. And in a state like Haryana, if you do all this, you get what the BJP is getting right now. And especially Mr. Dushyant Chautala, who's actually, I mean, the condition, someone should come and see Mr. Dushyant Chautala's party and its condition. And you know what poetic justice is all about.
Do you think the BJP MP and Bollywood actor Kangana Ranaut's comments have also hurt the party?
Yes and no. Yes, because it certainly hurt the farmers further. But no, because farmers had already reached a stage where the disconnect with BJP was so complete, especially in the farming communities, that they couldn't expect anything else from the BJP. So it just kept making matters worse, where you possibly couldn't make it any worse.
If we look at the rallies that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had done in 2014, it stood at 10. It came down to 6 in 2019, and this time around 4 only. What does it tell us, in the context of Haryana elections?
Two things. Number one, of course, that the BJP knows that they're losing and they don't want to stake Prime Minister's reputation in this. But something else actually strikes me, because I've always given Mr. Modi credit for something. That even when he knows his team is losing, he would bat till the last over. He would put in every possible effort. He has done that, much to his credit. And I've always said that, a team, this is a mark of a team leader, that even when you know the team is losing, at least you stand with them till the last minute. Mr. Modi has done it more than once. But that he is unwilling to do so now, that clearly shows something that's dissipating from Mr. Modi's personality, loss of confidence. When the election results were declared, I said it's a government without Iqbal. Sarkar to hai, Iqbal nahi.
Right.
And not going to Haryana, to my mind, is one more marker of that loss of Iqbal.
Well, we have talked a bit about Haryana. I just want to, take a few questions on Jammu and Kashmir before we come to national politics. Well, what is your prediction for Jammu and Kashmir?
If I don't have a prediction for Haryana, how do you expect me to have any prediction for Jammu and Kashmir?
Not the numbers, but what do you think may happen?
No, in all fairness, Neelam, because I've not traveled that much, and my general policy is that I don't speak about places I have not traveled and I have not had a field sense of. I say what I hear from journalists like you. So if you want to hear from me your own reports, I can talk about it. The general sense is that the BJP would have more difficult time in Jammu because 370 finally may not work to BJP's advantage, even among Jammu Hindu voters. And in any case, the BJP has almost nothing to do with the Kashmir Valley, having made all these grand declarations of Kashmir having become the Jannat after 370 and people loving Mr. Modi and so on. Isn't it quaint that you do something as dramatic as Article 370? You claim that this has transformed the state. You claim that people now love Mr. Modi, and then you fail to put up candidate. How strange, isn't it? So something is clearly amiss. But if you ask me who among the rest is ahead, I wouldn't be able to give a good answer.
Sure. But do you think that, these are the first elections after 370? In that context, how important or significant do you think the results would be?
More than the results, I'm interested in the fact that elections took place. In Jammu and Kashmir, the important thing is election itself. Turnout has been decent. And if, the minimum assurance that people of Jammu, especially of Kashmir, need is whoever we vote for will form the government. Whoever we do not like can be thrown away. This minimum assurance has been missing. This is something we all take for granted. In Haryana, I kept saying, people are unhappy, they'll throw the government out, on the assumption that if people don't like someone, they can throw them out. People of Kashmir have not had this assurance, unless if the only exceptions I can think of is 1977 election, where people got to choose, they did what they wanted, they threw out whoever they wanted to throw out. 2002. Under Mr. Vajpayee's government, again a very fair election in Jammu and Kashmir, where many of the big wigs lost. And if this happens to be that third election, irrespective of who people choose, the fact that people come out, choose X, Y, Z, I don't care. But then they can see on the result day, okay, this is who I voted for and this is who has won. That for me is far, far more important than who becomes the chief minister.
One last question on Jammu and Kashmir, if you think that you can answer that. But, for the first time in Jammu and Kashmir, we are seeing, people like Engineer Rashid's party is there. Jamaat-e-Islami, a banned organization, has backed a few candidates. We have a number of former separatists who are contesting elections. Do you think they will have a significant bearing on elections? And if they do end up winning, what would be the implication for Kashmir?
I'm not the right person to predict whether they will have bearing or not. But this is one thing I've said about Kashmir and about Punjab, that in both these states, there is a significant slice of vote, small now in Punjab and much, much bigger in the Kashmir Valley, which is beyond the entire spectrum of political parties, the mainstream political parties. Mainstream political parties occupy this much spectrum. They are to the left or to the right of that entire spectrum. And our politics has to find some way, democratic politics has to find some way to accommodate that sentiment. If you don't accommodate it, if you don't deal with it, you get Amritpal in Punjab. And you have similar situation in Kashmir as well. So, unless that significant chunk of public opinion, which is beyond the acceptable political spectrum, finds some expression in democratic politics, politics itself will remain illegitimate. And as an Indian, as someone who has long-term interest in India's unity, in Indian constitution, in our democracy, I would wish to find a way to accommodate this voice, which has remained unarticulated. There was a time when PDP became the voice of these voiceless, but later on PGP was accommodated and PDP was tainted in a sense. That is a different issue now.
Well, we have talked about, the Haryana results, what it would be, what it means for Jammu and Kashmir. But what do you think these results signify in terms of national politics? And especially we have Maharashtra and Jharkhand assembly elections, all set to take place later this year. Would they have any bearing on them also?
Limited effect, to my mind. There's always a temptation of reading grand national implications from every assembly election, which is presumed to be semi-final for something. I think we should resist that temptation, but I can see some direct consequences. Number one, if BJP gets a drubbing in Haryana, something you can't rule out, then I can't see how it would not affect the morale of BJP workers in Jharkhand and in Maharashtra. I don't know why BJP brought forward the Haryana elections. Someone can say election commission brought it forward, but you know the formality of it. Basically, it stretches one's credulity to believe that it was election commission's decision. So that's one direct consequence. Number two, if BJP does much worse Lok Sabha election, then the message is that they are going down. Now, politics is like stock market. Either you are up or you are down. If you are seen to be going down, and all this operates only when BJP does much worse than the Lok Sabha election. if BJP gets, let's say, something like 35 seats, people won't read that much of implications. But if it goes below that, then it's clearly the case that not only did you receive a setback in the Lok Sabha election, things are getting worse by the day. That may be confirmed by Maharashtra and Jharkhand. So out of these 4 states, if the BJP gets defeated in 3 of these states, 3 of the 4 states that we are talking about, then I think this would definitely be seen as a politically negative signal. I would not say it's the beginning of countdown. For that, I think we need to wait for Bihar election. Bihar election is what matters. But if you lose Haryana and if you lose Maharashtra, which is to say you lose Mumbai, well, it has serious implications for national politics.
You were, right about your prediction about Lok Sabha elections. You're saying, at least in Haryana, a very clear signaling for the Congress. Do you see these results as a sort of revalidation of the Congress's claim of revival? Because, in Lok Sabha, it was seen more as a setback for the BJP. And, many said that Congress was a winner by default. And with these 2, one state and a UT, with these results, how do you think that would change, or if at all it will change?
I don't think Lok Sabha was Congress victory by default. Unless Rahul Gandhi's personal image had improved, there was no way Congress could have got 99 seats. And that is something you can see in Haryana. There are rallies that he's holding. Unlike the Prime Minister, he is holding rallies. People are enthusiastic. Young people are, fighting to get a glimpse of him. So there is a positivity and excitement about Rahul Gandhi. And there is a positivity about Congress party. That itself is not sufficient for revival. Congress needs to do much, much more. But clearly, Congress has a foothold now. Congress has a space. And suppose both Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir vote out the BJP. Jammu and Kashmir, they were not there. But just look at it. Jammu, Kashmir, Himachal, Punjab, Haryana, Delhi. This looks like a substantial chunk of India. Where BJP won't be there. So it's not merely BJP being voted out. There is some positivity. But to my mind, Congress needs to back it up with some solid work. Making promises to people is one thing. Delivering upon that, as Congress did in Karnataka, that's a different kind of challenge. And that's where people would like to test the Congress.
Well, even after being reduced to a sort of a minority, if you could say, the BJP has been, pretty gung-ho about coming to power again at the center. You've seen PM Modi's functioning in the past few months after they came to power. How do you see the current BJP government at the center?
I don't think they are gung-ho. They would like you to believe that they are gung-ho. These are 2 entirely different things. If you look at Prime Minister's body language, it's a very different kind of a person. And as I said, if PM was who he used to be, he would not have done 4 rallies in Haryana. He would have traveled extensively. He would have thrown himself in. He would have staked his reputation. Now he's scared. So I don't think BJP is gung-ho. If they were gung-ho, they would not have withdrawn so many bills, having presented them, taken U-turn. So there is a lot that is changing in BJP. But yes, I would wait to see the assembly election results and their consequences to come to any definite conclusion.
Yes, well, before we conclude, one last question. Going forward, we've seen the Lok Sabha election results, these current assembly elections and the ones in the future, Jharkhand and Maharashtra. How do you see the national politics going forward?
The BJP is on the back foot. The BJP really needs to do something to capture popular imagination. The standard tricks are not working. On the other hand, Rahul Gandhi's personal image is going up. Congress is on the rise. And the challenge really is for the BJP to capture the popular mindscape, which it is failing to. And I saw the one nation, one election stuff, which BJP knows it cannot get passed, as a way of capturing mind space. It engages you. The trouble now is that BJP is unable to keep the narrative. BJP would desperately try to keep the narrative. And if they don't succeed in that, What might they do is anybody's guess. I really fear because BJP is not going to preside. Mr. Modi is certainly not going to preside over the wilting away of his regime. He will do something. He will do something drastic. He will do something dramatic. I just hope it is not destructive for the country.
Well, thank you so much, Yogendra ji, for giving us your time. And we will see on Tuesday what exactly the results are. But thank you so much for answering all our questions.
Thank you.